Good evening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus. My name is Faraz Patel. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us on Hilaal TV, DSTV channel 347. While the world's attention is on Gaza, and rightfully so, as the genocide continues there despite the ceasefire talks that had to be implemented at the time, another conflict which many human rights organizations are calling a genocide is occurring in Sudan. The rapid support forces against the Sudanese army, millions displaced, thousands killed, and a question on everyone's mind: when will it end in the northern part of our African continent? We saw just last month the Al Fasher area where scores of people were killed, and a land which continues to ask the question of how will this find a way for this brutal civil war which started in April 2023 will find its end. Joining me today, I'd like to welcome Dr. Abdul Karim Jibril Elgoni. He's the chairman of the Sidra Institute for Development, and he's also a Sudanese political commentator. The reason I've brought him on is that we've had many Sudanese analysts to discuss the civil war, and Dr. Elgoni has a different take on what is currently happening in this part of our continent. Dr. Elgoni, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Jazakallah so much for joining us.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you very much for highlighting the issues of Sudan. We really need it.
No, alhamdulillah, and I'm glad I have you on, because we've been wanting to get you on for quite some time. Dr. Elgoni, the last interview I did was with Professor Amira Osman, and I know you spoke and you said you have a different version to the way she sees the Sudan civil war. It's complicating because obviously we from the outside and within the media see it as the RSF versus the Sudanese government army. Explain your view of it from a perspective that maybe the viewers do not understand.
Rightfully so, as you said, the Sudanese issue is very complex. I usually say to people it is like an elephant. Many statements are true about the elephant. If you blindfolded 4 people and asked them, tell me what is in front of you. And one of them was holding the tail, one of holding the ear, one is holding the leg. Everyone will give me a statement. So what I'm holding here is this, and he will describe it right. But he's not describing the whole elephant. So many commentators, their statements are right, but they are just a quarter of the truth of the story. The Sudanese issue is very complex. We had a rule of 30 years of the Muslim Brotherhood of Sudan. It is a tough rule. There is no house in Sudan who has not suffered one way or the other.
This is before Omar al-Bashir came into...
No, this is
during Omar
al-Bashir's
time. Right.
After 10 years, the leader was Sheikh Hassan al-Turabi, who is the Sheikh of the Muslim Brotherhood of Sudan. After 10 years, they felt that al-Turabi is restricting them from doing more atrocities to the Sudanese. So they had a coup against their boss, which is Sheikh Hassan al-Turabi, and took him to jail. Then the remaining group in power after, this is from 1989 to 1999, Turabi was there. From 1999, there was a coup against Turabi. The first coup was against Sadiq al-Mahdi, with both of them together. The second coup was against Hassan al-Turabi. And then that coup was headed by Omar al-Bashir. Then Omar al-Bashir, after a few years, felt that those people who were with me all this time will go against me. How could I protect myself? He created the Rapid Support Forces. And he said these forces is to protect me.
And this is currently, the general is Hamdani.
Hemeti. Okay? So he created Hemeti to protect him, not to protect Sudan, not to protect the Muslim Brotherhood, to protect him in power, to continue in power. And they protected him, by the way. he was indicted to the ICC because of the atrocities he has done, okay, during this time. So then there came a time when the Sudanese said enough is enough, 2018. And there was a revolution in Sudan. There is no village in Sudan where people do not go out chanting حرية سلام وعدالة, freedom, peace, and justice. All over Sudan. So what happened is Hemeti, who was protecting al-Bashir, felt, I can no longer stand with al-Bashir against the Sudanese people. So he sided with the popular movement.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to kill anyone, I have killed enough.
This is Hemeti.
This is Hemeti said this.
Yes.
When this happened, there was no backing for al-Bashir to continue. So they stooped to conquer. They allowed the revolution to come, and we had a civil government chaired by Abdullah Hamdok.
Yes. Who is part of the Sudanese government.
Sudanese government, civilian government.
Right.
But then they wanted to get rid of Hemeti. The same group of the Muslim Brotherhood. They wanted to get rid of Hemeti because he stopped against them.
Right.
The same way they rebelled against Hassan al-Turabi.
Yes.
They rebelled against Hemeti and created the war in 2023. So we are the Sudanese people. We never created the Rapid Support Forces. It was created by the same Muslim Brotherhood in Sudan who wanted to keep people under pressure by power and fear. Now, when they were not in terms with Hemeti, they wanted us to pay the price. Now they said, no, Hemeti is an enemy. Hemeti is not a Sudanese. Take him away. Come and stand with us. We said, no. We are against any civilian rule. We have any military rule.
Yeah.
We have seen the dictatorship. We have seen the military rule. We don't want any military rule. You and Hemeti go off politics and go off the economy. Go and do the job you are doing like any doctors. The doctors are going to the hospitals to do healing for people. The teachers are going to schools to give education to people. You go to the borders of Sudan and keep peace for Sudan. They don't want that. They want it to rule. And this is where the problem is.
My understanding, Dr. Elgoni, and we spoke about this off air, is that when you take a look at Gaza, they're fighting for a cause. For example, there is the liberation of Palestine and the revelation of Al-Aqsa Masjid.
Yes.
What we're seeing in Sudan is individualism. Because it's protecting one leader protecting another. It's all about the politicians protecting each other.
And their interests.
And their interest.
Our war in Sudan is a war against the people. Is a war against the people by the regime who for 30 years was against the people of the Sudanese people, and he wanted to continue more. And the people said no. There is no cause for the war in Sudan. It's only greed. People don't want to be weaned from power, from the resources that they have been looting all those years around. And of course, they are not looting it alone. There are people who are benefiting from it. There are Egyptians, an Egyptian government that is benefiting because now this war destroyed all the factories in Sudan that were adding value to Sudanese products. Now everything in Sudan has to be sent raw to Egypt.
Which is, of course, shares the Nile River. Yeah.
Then at the same time, the gold, you spoke about the gold. The gold. There are the Russians who are mining gold. There are Moroccan who are mining gold. There is Emiratis who are mining gold. There is
I want to bring up the Emiratis.
There is Qatari who are mining gold. All those people, if they do this gold under the civilian rule, the civilian rule says you must pay your tax.
And now these countries
and now
are not
under the Muslim Brotherhood rule, you don't pay tax. If you know someone high up there, he will give you an excuse. Yes. You can come with your plane, collect your things and go. Like they were doing it during Omar al-Bashir's time.
Dr. Elgoni, I want to bring in, because I want to touch on the United Arab Emirates scenario later on in the show. I want to bring in Omar al-Bashir because over 10 years ago, I'm sure you remember, it was the African Union Summit here in South Africa. He came, he had the ICC arrest warrant towards him. Nothing happened. The president at the time was President Jacob Zuma. Many Sudanese citizens felt it was an embarrassment, number one, and a humiliation that a president who had these ICC arrest warrants was not arrested. What was your immediate take on that when that occurred?
No, for me, I was happy. If he was arrested, Sudan would have been in peace. Because why is he insisting to stay in power? Because he's scared of going to ICC. And this is something that we said before that time. We said, if we keep saying al-Bashir, and it's not al-Bashir alone, by the way, there are 52 other people who are now clinging to power because they are all scared like him. Only 5 were indicted officially, but they said there is another 52.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I want to say, we have about 57 top leaders.
Yeah.
Top leaders.
Yeah.
Who are very powerful politically, financially, and army or security-wise.
Dr. Elgoni, I have to stop with it. We have to go for a break.
Okay.
But after the break, I continue my conversation with Dr. Abdul Karim Jibril Elgoni. Millions have been displaced in Sudan. What is the way forward? We're going to be touching especially on what is currently happening in the Al Fashar region. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to News in Focus. Dr. Elgoni, according to a current UN NGO report, Al Fashar has been under siege by the RSF for 549 days. That means for most of the period within the civil war. What is the modus operandi of the RSF at this very moment? Because as early as last month, 91 people, civilians, were murdered by the RSF. Talk to us about that.
You see, as a civilian government, Hamdok have seen this war coming. And we as partners in that civilian government, as Ummah Party, we saw this coming. And we start commuting between Hemeti and Al-Burhan to try to mitigate, to diffuse this possibility of the war going on. But unfortunately, the greed is unsatiable. And we failed. And the war started in Khartoum.
Yes.
So what happened is this. We felt that we still continue. The war started in April. In May, people took the two parties. We succeeded in taking the two parties to Jeddah to try and reconcile the differences.
Yes. I remember because the Saudis had played a mediatory role. Yeah.
During this time, all over Sudan, we as civilians agreed with the population of every town that please let us not fight in this town.
This is Khartoum.
No, out of Khartoum.
Out of Khartoum, okay.
I want just to mention to you, Al-Fashir,
Yes.
Al-Janena, Al-Da'in, Al-Mujlat, Babanusa, Al-Fula, many towns where there is there is the army and there is the RSF. We succeeded in stopping them from fighting each other in all those towns.
Right.
And the war was only in Khartoum state. And this was in all of Sudan.
Yeah.
And this continued for a whole year. We were waiting during this year, maybe people will come to their senses. And the war will stop, and the damage, whatever has happened, would be in Khartoum state alone. But it wasn't. So then what happened is this. The army paid Minni Minawi and said to him, stop this truce, go and fight. So Minni Minawi, who is now with government, decided to stop a war in Al-Fashir.
This is the RSF?
No.
This is the Sudanese government.
This is one of the militias who are fighting for the army, decided in Al-Fashir to point their guns towards the rapid support forces.
So if I'm getting this right, Dr. Elgoni, because you brought up something that I never know.
Yes.
From the outset, we're thinking it's RSF versus the Sudanese government. So you're saying that there are militias working for?
There are more than 10 militias working for the army. You see, this is one of the problems with our Sudanese army. We are saying the Sudanese army is not an army as such. It is a collection of militias. The Sudanese army have ceased being an army from the time of Umar al-Bashir, when they decided to create militias like RSF to do their job for them. And they started ruling and doing business. They stopped fighting for Sudan. Egypt have taken part of the land of Sudan till today. The army never fought for it.
Yes.
The Ethiopians taken part of Sudan. The army never fought for it because it's not interested in Sudan. It's interested in the power and in the money that they are getting from. South Sudan has taken Abyei from us, and they are not interested.
I want to ask you, Dr. Elgoni, where does South Sudan's role come in all of this? For those who probably don't have an idea of South Sudan and where it comes into this.
You see, the Sudanese and South Sudanese are one nation.
Yes, of course.
In two countries. The South Sudanese still have their heart with the Northern Sudanese, and we as Northerners has our heart with the... And whoever is suffering in this battle that has been going on for more than 2 years is not RSF and is not the army. Whoever is suffering is a Sudanese person. Whoever is killed by RSF is a Sudanese. And whoever is killed by the army is a Sudanese. So the Southerners are feeling for the Sudanese people and saying, there is no reason for this fight. And if the RSF is saying, I can stop the fighting tomorrow, if Al-Burhan says stop the fighting, Al-Burhan is insisting not to stop the fighting. So throughout 2.5 years, every time the Saudis asked to stop the war, Hemeti said yes. The Geneva, they said, can you stop the war? Hemeti said yes. The Ethiopians said, can you stop the war? The IGAD said, can you... Every time any institution comes to mediate in stopping the war, the RSF and Hemeti says, we can stop the war tomorrow. Who is refusing? It's Al-Burhan and the army. Why? Because they are scared.
But scared of what?
They're scared of going to ICC. All of them have committed
war crimes.
War crimes in Sudan.
So both RSF and the Sudanese government,
yes,
in your view,
committed crimes.
Yeah.
Yes, both of them. Both of them committed crimes, and they are not denying it. The RSF is saying, yes, you have committed crimes. War is war. You don't give... War gives you destruction, gives this. The army is saying the same, yes, war... Just last week, there was a tribal meeting. A tribe that is refused to stand with the army, but is not standing with the RSF.
So they're in the middle ground, yeah.
The army says, if you are not with me, you are against me. This is what Bush said in line.
With
so the army is saying, anyone who is not standing with me is standing with the RSF. Even if you are not standing with RSF, as long as you are not standing with me, you are against me. So they sent those drones, and they killed about 15 of this tribe leaders, including their paramount chief, and about 5 of the RSF army officers who came to discuss with those people, please, if you don't side with the army, we don't have anything against you. So the army, in killing 5 RSF people, it killed 21 people.
Dr. Elgoni, there's something interesting you've mentioned, because I want to talk on this militia part, because all the other interviews I've done before have not really mentioned militias. Any discussion we've had on Sudan has not mentioned militias. And when we look at how militias work, they work in going into the villages, especially in Africa. They go into the villages, terrorize the villages, and of course displace them. And this is where we are right now. Millions and millions of Sudanese civilians have been displaced. And it's quite clear that listening to you and juxtapose it to what the government is doing, the Sudanese government really doesn't have the interest of the Sudanese citizens at heart. This is what I'm taking for what you're saying right now.
I agree with you 100%. Let me give you, let's say just give you the recent example. The recent example is the Americans, the Saudis, the Emiratis, and the Egyptians agreed to have a peace roadmap. They discussed it. Burhan flew and met the Americans and flew and met the Egyptians and said, I am happy with this agreement, we will go for it. Immediately when he went to Sudan, the Muslim Brotherhood of Sudan said to him, who asked you to say I am agreeing with this peace deal? We are not going to have any peace deal. And then the next day, he came out with a statement saying, I don't want any peace in Sudan. Hemeti and the RSF and whoever is standing with them, which is Ta'sis government, they all accepted any deal. Everyone is wanting peace in Sudan except the army. Everyone. You see, the EU wanted to stop the war in Sudan. The Arab League, the IGAD, the United Nations,
South
the
Africa,
neighbors of Sudan,
South
Africa.
Yeah.
The only body who is refusing peace in Sudan is the army and the Muslim Brotherhood of Sudan. Against all other people, and for nothing. There is no cause for this fight. There is no cause for this war, and this is what astonishing. Why are they doing this to the Sudanese people? Enough is enough.
And while this is happening, millions of people are being displaced, hunger, famine. Mothers who have babies are not able to get baby formula. And a recent report showed that RSF is blocking aid getting into Al-Fashar, amongst other areas. And again, this is tantamount to a war crime.
If I ask you a question, who is responsible for Sudan? Is it RSF responsible for Sudan?
It's the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how can you see, RSF is just in West Sudan, in Darfur. There is no food in Al-Gadarif, there is no food in Khartoum itself. Why there is no food? The army doesn't want peace in Sudan because they wanted to divide Sudan and they wanted to be there governing, protecting themselves and what they have looted from the Sudanese people over the last 30 years. This is my understanding. If they have any care for the Sudanese, they would have said, okay, let us have a 3 months ceasefire.
No, but there's no ceasefire.
Exactly. Who is refusing the ceasefire? It's the army. Yes. But the army has a very strong mouth. They have more than 1,000 commentators all over the world. They have power. They can connect with you today and make you speak. But we, the people, we don't have that power. So their lies are promoted as truth. And they do it again and again and again until people believe it.
Dr. Elgoni, I have to stop you there because we have to go to the break. After the break, talks of ceasefire, mediation, it still hasn't happened, and this while thousands are being killed and millions are being displaced in Sudan. My conversation with Dr. Elgoni continues after the break. Welcome back to News in Focus. Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been seen as a quote-unquote honest mediator. Of course, South Africa took Israel to the ICJ for the genocide that is happening in Gaza. But also he acted, or is trying to act, as a mediator between the current war in Russia and Ukraine. What about Sudan? Dr. Elgoni, I want to ask you, President Ramaphosa and, of course, DIRCO have issued statements condemning the violence. They've called on both parties, government and the RSF, to lay down their arms and come to the table for a ceasefire mediation. So my understanding, and maybe you'll correct me, the Sudan ambassador to South Africa represents the current government in Sudan. As you've mentioned, of course, this is the same government that is not really helping the Sudanese people. What is the role that South Africa needs to play in this, given that it's, being part of brokering peace between Ukraine and Russia, and of course has, unwaveringly had its solidarity for Palestine?
You see, South Africa is a revered democracy in Africa. And all have our thumbs up for South Africa for supporting civilian rule. When we say democracy and civilian rule, we mean the people. In many other African countries, the rulers are not caring for civilian rule or for the people. They are caring for their position. And this is why the African Union have taken a decision long ago that any officer who had a coup and comes to government, we are not going to recognize his government, because they knew the problems that the military rule brings to Sudan. Al-Burhan is now in power, not by choice of the Sudanese people, but by a military coup. And it was very good that South Africa, within the AU has supported that there is no recognition of Al-Burhan's government. So, until today, the AU is not recognizing it. So what we are saying is South Africa must continue this role, continue the role of supporting any movement towards a civilian rule, including convincing Al-Burhan to stop the war, have a civilian rule, go to elections within 1 or 2 or 3 years, and let the Sudanese choose who must rule Sudan. This is what South Africa is doing. This is what President Ramaphosa is doing, and this is what we wish they continue doing together with the 4 countries that are now promoting a ceasefire in Sudan. We are looking for them to push for a ceasefire and for the inclusion of whoever is asking for the ceasefire in Sudan. You see, now in Sudan, we are 2 parties. There is a party that is pro-war, and there is a party that is against the war. The party that is against the war is 2 people. The Hamdok, the previous, we don't say the previous, because I still believe he is my prime minister, because Al-Burhan is not a legal leader in Sudan. So Hamdok is pro cessation of hostilities, and there is what we call Ta'sis. Ta'sis, half of Hamdok's movement have divided. They said, as long as RSF, since this war started, is always inclining to ceasefire, why don't we go to him and strengthen his will to stop the fight, and we convince the army to follow suit, and we stop the war in Sudan. So there are 2 people who are, Ta'sis is for the cessation of hostilities, and Hamdok is for cessation of hostilities. It's only Al-Burhan and whoever supporting him are in support of continuation of the fighting in Sudan, which is creating more destruction.
Dr. Elgoni, I want to go back to Omar al-Bashir, and the reason why I'm going back is that when, of course, the AU summit happened here, there were many critics who lambasted former President Jacob Zuma for allowing Omar al-Bashir to come into this country and go out. So South Africa's stance on Sudan, and I don't know whether it's been repaired in the eyes of the international community, is not favorable because of what had happened with Omar al-Bashir. Now, of course, South Africa have new leadership, a new cabinet, but what had happened a decade ago still has a sort of a stain on the way South Africa views Sudan, or its take on Sudan, or not holding the leaders accountable, especially with that ICC arrest warrant that was on Omar al-Bashir. Do you feel that there's still a sense of genuine understanding or genuine sort of wanting to end the conflict in Sudan right now, given what we saw 10 years ago, from South Africa's perspective?
You see, politics is not a one-way road. Yes, there are a number of things that you need to cross. And there are things that also come in place that prevent you doing what you are supposed to do. So we believe that South Africa is in support of civilian rule, is in support of the return to the civilian rule, is in support that the army does what the army is doing in South Africa, protect the country and protect the borders of the country. And in that is said, we believe they are siding with the Sudanese people who are suffering from the war in Sudan, that we want to stop at any moment. the problem that, you see, as I told you in the beginning, that the problem of Sudan is very complex. You see, al-Bashir wanted hard currency. And when the war in Yemen happened, al-Bashir sided with the Saudis and the Emiratis.
Yes.
Okay?
I remember.
And then he sent two armies. One army from the army and one army from the RSF. Then 3 years later, there was a fight between the Saudis and the Emiratis. They are no longer singing the same tune. So al-Bashir wanted money. Okay? So he said to the RSF, please, you go and stand with the Emiratis. And he said to the army people, you go and stay with the Saudis. And the war continued. The war continued. The Emiratis are giving money for whoever is fighting for them as mercenaries to the RSF. And the Saudi is paying whoever is fighting for them as mercenaries to the army. When this fight happened, the Emiratis continued giving the money the same way.
RSF.
And the Saudis were continuing giving. Now, people are saying, because of this, people are thinking the Saudis are support. The Saudis are the ones who went for the peace in Sudan from the first day. The Saudi ambassador of Sudan is one who was orchestrating ceasefire all this time. He is the one who worked with the Sudanese to go for the first Jeddah and the second Jeddah. Until today, the Saudi is with the 4 countries who wanted peace in Sudan.
And Dr. Elgoni, that's how I want to come in. Majority of the Arab League has called for supposed ceasefires. Majority of it.
Yes.
I'm going to get to the United Arab Emirates after the break, but majority of it, I know Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, has said, listen, we need to find a ceasefire immediately.
Yes.
But there doesn't seem to be a listening from both the government and the RSF to try and say, let's find a middle ground, which has seen a lot of... Any Arab League meeting that has happened, Sudan has come on, besides obviously the genocide in Gaza, and there's been no resolution when it's come to that.
There was always a listening ear from the RSF. Throughout this war, whenever any mediator came and asked for cessation of hostilities, RSF said yes.
Oh, so you're saying the RSF was willing for the ceasefire?
Was willing for the ceasefire from the start of the war. From the second week of the war, he was convinced to stop the war. And continuously until today, the army was refusing cessation of hostilities from the first Jeddah until today.
Right.
And every Sudanese knows this. Why? We can't understand it. We said enough is enough. Sudanese have suffered millions out of their homes. People cannot cultivate their farms. People have lost their jobs. There is no income. People are really suffering. And whatever price the army wants, it is less than the cost of the suffering of the Sudanese.
So Burhan is purely responsible?
For me,
yes.
You see, I don't say Burhan is fully responsible. Because Burhan is not in control. Yes. It's the Muslim Brotherhood who are in control. And they have their militias.
Yeah.
Yes. They have militias. I want to be very frank with you. Yes. One of the leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood said to Burhan, we are in your office, and we said it publicly.
Yes.
We are in your house, and we are in your office. If you deviate from what we say, don't blame us.
After the break,
we don't blame Al-Burhan.
I have to stop you there, Dr. Elgoni, because we have to go for a break. After this, many human rights organizations have called what is currently happening in Sudan a genocide. Also, there was an ICJ case that was brought by the Sudanese government for allegations that the United Arab Emirates was supplying weapons, were murdering many villagers within Sudan earlier this year. We'll wrap up the conversation after the break. Welcome back. Well, as I mentioned before we went to the break, many human rights organizations have labeled what is currently happening in Sudan as a genocide. Earlier this year, around May, we saw the Sudanese government taking an ICJ case against the United Arab Emirates, alleging that the Gulf country had been supplying weapons to the Rapid Support Forces for the killing of many of the civilians within Sudanese villages. Dr. Elgoni, I wanted to get your take on that case, because that case was thrown out in what many are saying was a technicality. Were you disappointed? Was there even a case in this regards? And you're mentioning, of course, the role that the United Arab Emirates had been playing within this current civil war.
You see, war is war. War does not distribute roses. It distributes death and destruction. And this is what the RSF was doing in Sudan during this war. And this is what the army and its militias are doing during this war. So both of them were killing Sudanese, was creating suffering to Sudanese, was destroying the infrastructure of both of them, infrastructure of the Sudanese. And of course, being in war, we have a saying in Arabic that if you want to fight, you should not complain about blood coming out of your body. Because as long as you want fighting, fighting will make you, someone will use a sword.
Of course, yeah.
Yes. So both of them are fighting. We are not expecting anything from the fighting other than destruction and death. So both of them have done destruction and death. And we wanted an international team to come and investigate, and whoever is found wrong should pay the price. If it's an RSF or if it is the army, to pay the price.
Do you think both RSF and the army, and we've had this discussion earlier on, do you think there's plausible evidence that both Burhan and Hamdani, there's possible war crimes?
Yes.
Can this be an ICJ case
You see,
and an ICC case?
you see, both of them have committed atrocities, horrible atrocities, both of them. But we need the evidence. The evidence can come from a court of law. So I can't say the army or I can't say the RSF should, but both of them have committed atrocities. And people have died because of shelling from the RSF, and people have died because of shelling from the army planes. So it happened in both directions. There is no one who is innocent in this war, except we, the civilians,
yeah.
and the civilian government, and those who are promoting cessation of hostilities. We are the only ones. Anyone who is promoting the war to continue is part of this war. For me, is part of this war, yes. And he should be taken to court accordingly.
Food insecurity, because, I mean, the reason why we bring up the genocide word, because it's sometimes used loosely by a lot of politicians here in South Africa. But what we see in Gaza, for example, it is a genocide because what the Israeli army has done, food insecurity, targeting of civilians, destruction of buildings. We've seen that in Gaza happening. We see that also happening if we read the reports of many human rights groups, United Nations. It has happened also in Sudan. But one stark statistic is that 24 million people displaced
Yes.
and facing food insecurity. Now,
Yes.
I want the viewers to get an understanding, because this is, of course, 10 times the amount of the people that are in Gaza. And this is not taking away the horrors of what we are seeing in Gaza right now. But I also want the viewers to understand that what is happening in Sudan deserves the attention. 24 million people face food insecurity. If I'm understanding, if you read the Geneva Convention, that has plausible evidence of genocide also.
Yes, I agree with you. I want just to give you an example. There is a law, a government law, that is called the law of the strange faces. قانون الوجوه الغريبة. Okay? Because Hemeti is from the western of Sudan. And the people of the West Sudan are a bit different from the people in the north of Sudan. They created this law in the north. And whoever looks a stranger, they take him, and hundreds of people disappeared.
Ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing. We can't, you see, the thing is, you can't stamp it as ethnic cleansing because you need proof of that. But the law is the law. And this is a law, and every Sudanese knows this. And there are hundreds of people who were lost. So this is why we needed an independent team to come and investigate.
But it's not going to happen now because the fighting is continuing.
You know.
But the ceasefire seems to be a very long time away because both parties seem to be, it doesn't seem that they're coming to the table. But while this is happening, famine is occurring and deaths are happening at such a high rate.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. I'm telling you this. RSF officially declared we are there for the, actually, no, I don't want to say RSF alone. They have a government. That's a parallel government. You see, we as Sudanese, we know this government of Al-Burhan is illegal. And we know the government of Ta'sis is illegal because both of them are not chosen by us. Both of them are imposed on us. But at least the Ta'sis government is saying, I am for peace. I am for ceasefire tomorrow. I am for cessation of hostilities tomorrow. This is their language. The language of the government of Al-Burhan is, we are not going to stop this war. We are going to kill everyone who is supporting Hemeti. We are continuing on the war. So there is two stories. A story who is we don't agree with Hemeti about because of the atrocities that has happened, but at least he's saying what has happened has happened. We cannot change history. We can change the future. Let us stop the war today. But the government side is saying, no, no, no. Whatever has happened in the history has to continue in the future. Let us continue this war, continue killing people, continue displacing them, continue destroying property, continue stopping people from tolling their farms, you see? And this is what is the problem we are having now.
Should there be UN peacekeepers coming in or African Union peacekeepers?
For me, any price we pay to stop these horrors in Sudan, I will pay for it. Any solution you have for
me. My question is, should there be UN peacekeepers?
We don't need it.
But there doesn't seem to be a way.
If the army said today, I'm stopping, the other part will say we are stopping. We don't need international people in Sudan. But if the army is insisting on continuing the war, we will ask for it.
So if the RSF said that they would stop the war.
They said it more for 2.5 years. RSF was saying this. RSF has never said, I am not going for a cessation of hostilities. Has never said, he went to Jeddah 1, Jeddah 2, Al-Manama. He went to Geneva 1, Geneva 2. Every time they have committed atrocities, but at least they are saying, we can stop the war tomorrow if the army says we stop the war.
Dr. Elgoni, one final question. I don't know how this ends. As a Sudanese citizen, I understand your frustration because there has to be a cessation of hostilities. And I'll always keep saying this is because the innocent, the civilians of Sudan deserve it. For decades, they've been, since, of course, the independence from Britain, there has been civil war among civil war among civil war. Sudan has not known peace since the United Kingdom left this beautiful land, because it's a beautiful land and it's a land that has been blessed with so much. But when do we draw the line for this to stop? Because even if hostilities or cessation of hostilities come, you've mentioned it, there's militias that are operating. There are still individuals that want to see bloodshed and displacement amongst the civilians of Sudan. And again, I'll stress, this war needs to end so that the civilians have the right to live. And unfortunately, their interests have not been taken into account here.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, we had a professor, a British professor, who said the Sudanese are geniuses. They said to him, why do you think they are geniuses? He said, I never thought this great land of Sudan can be destroyed. But we were able to destroy it. So I agree with you. We needed cessation of hostilities today. It can happen today. If Al-Burhan tomorrow said, I wanted to stop hostilities, the hostilities will stop. The only reason why the hostilities are not stopping is not Ta'sis government, is not Hemeti and whoever is supporting him. It is the government and the militias that are supporting the government who are insisting on keeping the... See, I don't want to say, we as a Sudanese, we say when the British left Sudan. They left the army that was established by the British. And the army kept taking all the resources of Sudan continually during those 3 years to the occupier. And they are still wanted to continue doing the same role. We have to stop this somewhere, somehow. This is an opportunity for us to build the Sudanese nation on new grounds of equality, equal citizenship. Just like South Africa, it is not a religious state. It is a civil society state where the rights of civilians are observed, where if I think you committed a crime, I can go and say you committed a crime. So, and I am not going to disappear tomorrow. In Sudan today, if you go and say, this man have looted this company, the next day, he will not disappear. It will be you who will disappear.
Dr. Elgoni, we have run out of time. Absolute pleasure having you on. We really appreciate it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I encourage you, please, to continue doing. And we want in South Africa to create a humanitarian 1,000 tons of things to go to Sudan. Till now, a number of countries have helped the Sudanese, either in Sudan or in neighboring countries. I want to see South Africa flying planes from here with humanitarian support for the Sudanese who are suffering.
And I
Thank
think
you very much.
That's what we would definitely make dua for that to happen.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Elgoni, Dr. Abdul Karim Jibril Elgoni are joining us today just to discuss the more complexities when it comes to the Sudan Civil War. My closing statement on this is it's the Sudanese citizens, the civilians, that deserve peace, that deserve justice, that deserve the right to love. And unfortunately, it is not happening in this 2.5-year civil war. From myself, Firas Patel, and the rest of the team in Johannesburg, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.